The Velkarith Dominion expanded like wildfire. 12 galactic sectors subdued. Hundreds of systems bent to their will. Their war fleets left a trail of quiet submission and rewritten maps. No world resisted for long. So when the scouts reported a lone blue planet in the Sol system, primitive, unallied, orbiting a dull yellow star, it barely made a ripple. Class 4 pre-quantum species, the analyst noted. Cultural debris suggests emotional instability. No interstellar alliances. No planetary defenses worth noting. The Velkarith Empress glanced at the file. Then why hasn't anyone claimed it? Silence. Her generals exchanged glances. One finally spoke. Sol has been avoided. She arched an eyebrow. By who? Everyone. This time she paused. A planet this lightly guarded should have been absorbed eons ago. Instead, Earth had been circled, skipped, ignored. No trade routes, no pirate raids, not even academic expeditions. It wasn't strategic oversight, it was deliberate omission. The Empress leaned forward, her voice cold with curiosity. Explain. A historian arrived within the hour, ancient, plumed, with memory strands trailing behind like smoke. He brought with him a list, 15 civilizations. Each one had, at some point in the past 200 cycles, recorded an intention to scout or invade Sol. None of them existed anymore. Some vanished in conflict. Others collapsed in unexplained civil war. A few simply ceased transmitting altogether, gone without a trace. But each name on that list had one thing in common. They had once plotted a course to Earth, and then nothing. No final reports, no debris, no wreckage, just silence. The historian bowed low. We call it the curious silence. The Empress stood, pacing slowly across her starlit chamber. So this planet, this Earth, has never fought back? Not in any official capacity, he said. No known fleet movements, no declarations, no retaliation. Then what stopped them? We do not know. The chamber was quiet for several heartbeats. Then she turned to her prime executor. Send a cultural analysis team. Quietly, no warships, no banners, just observers. She let the weight settle. Find out why the galaxy avoids this backwater mudball. Outside, stars continued their endless arc, and Sol spun in silence, blue, unassuming, and untouched. The investigation vessel, Quiet Harmony, slipped into Sol orbit with no ceremony. 3 Velkarith cultural historians and 2 stealth operatives formed its crew, an elite team trained to dissect worlds without disturbing them. They had infiltrated royal libraries on war moons and decrypted lost languages carved into asteroid veins. Earth, by all accounts, should have been a simple assignment. The planet spun lazily below them, blue, green, clouded, humming with signals. Primitive, observed historian Threxall, broadcasts running on outdated frequency bands. Electromagnetic noise consistent with emotional species. No formal psychic shielding, no planetary mesh grid, nothing post-singularity. Stealth operative Ven toggled through scans with practiced efficiency. Power signatures consistent with nuclear fission, no orbital defense lattice, static satellite formations. Their systems are wide open. And yet, Threxall murmured, they remain unapproached. Historian Kalis leaned closer to the viewing array. Earth's surface pulsed with inconsistent rhythm, traffic chaos, sudden explosions of music, random biological rituals. News reports overlapped with pranks and poetry. A large creature known as a moose wandered into a highway, caused 3 collisions, and left unscathed. They confuse cause and effect, Kalis said. They weaponize uncertainty, added Threxall, not entirely joking. The team initiated a passive scan sweep. No active signals, no intrusion, just a broad-spectrum scrape for patterns. Thousands of hours of video, audio, memes, and text cascaded across the monitors. They believe their species is both a miracle and a joke, said Kalis slowly. They televise their suffering, mock their leaders, document themselves falling off furniture, Ven added. Historian Malar, the eldest, frowned. This is not behavioral immaturity, it is ritualized chaos. That's when the anomalies began. Scan logs flickered, twice. Once during the pass over what humans called the Pacific Northwest, again over Siberia. Low-band sensors caught a signal not meant for them. It wasn't outbound, it wasn't random. It was looking inward. Millar froze. That's impossible. No Earth system has retrograde scanning capability at this frequency. Kalis zoomed into the signal. It was composed of pulses, not raw data, emotion-tuned harmonics. Each beat of the signal felt like being watched. Historian Threxall leaned in, eyes widening. That's not a broadcast. Then what is it? Asked Ven. Millar replied, voice hollow. It's a question. The translator core stalled mid-process. Static blurred the symbols. Then the message cleared. A single phrase translated across all 6 Velkarith dialects. Are you sure? The lights in the cabin dimmed. Not from power loss, but from presence. Not an entity, not a weapon. Just awareness. Operative Ven reached for the fail-safe beacon. Protocol for psychological breach. The beacon was already disabled. Millar whispered almost reverently, "It knew we would come." "But how?" asked Kalis. "No species with their technology base should be able to—" The signal pulsed again. This time it didn't ask. It remembered. Each of the investigators was suddenly flooded with an image. Not seen, but felt. A ship not unlike theirs. Different markings. Same mission. Gone. Swallowed. A backward scream across time, echoing in the data stream. A haunting sense of regret, like memory had teeth. The team staggered. Ven gripped the console, hands shaking. "We were never the first, just the first to return." "Number, not return," Kalis said. "The first to get this far." Historian Millar composed herself, manually cutting all external sensors. She whispered into the ship's log. Earth exhibits global-scale cultural instability paired with emotional broadcast recursion. Data suggests evolved mimetic defense field, rooted not in software, but myth, collective thought. "Myth is armor," Threxall muttered. Kalis, still pale, added, "We've misclassified them. They are not pre-warp." She pointed at the screen. It now displayed static forming the shape of a human hand, palm open, 5 fingers. No threat, no greeting, just a presence. Threxall finished her thought. "They are post-predictable." The crew said nothing, because deep down, each of them knew. They were already inside the story Earth was telling, and stories are how humans win. The recon team of the Quiet Harmony no longer slept. There was no directive preventing rest, only the collective unspoken refusal to close their eyes. Something had changed after the signal. The phrase, "Are you sure?" still echoed through the ship's memory buffers, repeating on loop despite all attempts to scrub it. Historian Millar, ancient and methodical, decided to stop speculating. She turned to the Dominion's Forbidden Index, a collection of failed invasion attempts, sanctioned only for use under existential protocol. Velkarith Command would never know. They didn't need to. The answers were already circling them. First file, the Jernak Armada. 3 centuries prior, the Jernak fleet, 2,400 ships strong, set course for Sol. Their logs detail a full planetary invasion blueprint: orbital suppression, psychological bombardment, surface cleansing. Projected conquest time, 19 hours. Their final transmission? An image. No metadata, just the picture of a child's drawing, crudely colored in crayon, a smiling human next to a creature labeled Mr. Screamy. No follow-up, no debris field, no known battles. The Jernak Armada had ceased to exist. Second file, the Serene Hive. The Hive had no interest in diplomacy or logic. They consumed ecosystems. Planets fell in waves until Earth. Scouting drones returned within days, intact but corrupted. The Queen herself retracted the invasion order, declaring the planet unpalatable. In the years that followed, Serene communications grew erratic. They began speaking only in riddles. Translators failed to extract meaning. Their broadcasts included, "The meat remembers." They fed us backward. Their dreams have claws. The Hive collapsed within a decade. No species had ever witnessed their withdrawal before. Third file, the Zavari Highborn Elite. Cold, strategically perfect. They never shared their plans, only results. But the logs revealed that a single highborne cruiser entered Sol orbit for reconnaissance. No planetary contact, no weapon discharge. The crew returned 3 days later, physically unharmed, mentally gone. Every officer was brain dead, not vegetative, empty. Psychic scans showed nothing. No resistance, no attack, just silence. One technician, desperate, ran a deeper resonance scan and captured psychic residue, emotional fingerprints left behind like dust in the void. It yielded 3 phrases. They smiled while we screamed. They're not evolved. They're honed. Millar pushed away from the console. Even in the stillness of the bridge, her fingers trembled. She turned to Kalis, voice low. We've underestimated them, not because we didn't see their power, but because we didn't understand what kind of power it was. Kalis didn't respond. She was staring at the viewport, eyes wide, unblinking. Do you feel it? She whispered. Feel what? Millar asked. Kalis didn't blink. Like we're being watched. Then the stealth operative activated the ship's perimeter monitors. Nothing. No trace of cloaked vessels, no telepathic infiltration, no stealth drones. But the atmosphere inside the quiet harmony grew heavier. Breathing felt deliberate, like their lungs were not entirely under their command. Threxel sat in silence at the archive station, flicking through obscure myth cycles. Every record shows a pattern, she said slowly. Invaders arrive. They record chaos. They laugh. Then they vanish. Not from combat, from something else. You think it's psychological warfare? Ven asked. No, Threxel said. I think it's narrative contagion. Millar's gaze darkened. They don't fight with weapons. They fight with story. That night cycle, if it could be called night, Millar entered the observation bay alone. Earth hung below, serene and unaware. She stared at the swirling clouds, the flicker of city lights, the endless movement of a planet that should have been insignificant, and felt eyes, not literal, not even psychic, just the sensation of being perceived, as if Earth itself had turned its face upward, not to plead, not to threaten, just to notice. The next morning, Kalis submitted a classified note to the ship's log. When I sleep, I see static, and teeth, and a voice laughing, but not cruelly, not joyfully either. Just amused. I think that's what gets them in the end. Not pain, not madness. It's the realization that Earth was never trying to win, just to outlast. And they have. In the central bridge, Threxel pulled up one final entry, a scrap of intercepted signal from a fallen probe, species unknown. Its only recorded phrase, we thought they were animals learning reason, but they were survivors learning patience. Millar read the words and slowly exhaled. We shouldn't be asking if Earth is dangerous. Then what should we ask? Ven murmured. Millar stared through the viewport again. We should be asking how long it's been waiting. The quiet harmony had stopped sending updates, not because of interference, because the team was watching something, and they couldn't stop. Threxel found it embedded deep in Earth's obsolete data layer, below satellite surveillance, below archived cloud storage, buried in a forgotten protocol humans once called torrenting. The folder had no label, just an icon, a smudged bootprint in mud. Inside, 191 videos, footage raw and unfiltered, unredacted history, not polished cultural exports, not curated peace broadcasts, just Earth. The first clip showed muddy trenches, men choking on gas. The sound of artillery so loud the translator core glitched. Humans crawled over corpses. One reached for another's hand and laughed as mortars fell. Laughed. Millar murmured, this is one of their world wars. Kalis whispered, one of? The next clip cut to tanks rolling through cities, firestorms over London, civilians in bunkers passing around candy, children drawing flowers while air raid sirens screamed overhead. The visuals skipped decades forward, ashen mushroom clouds rising over Pacific Islands. Velkarith systems flagged the radiation signatures as apocalyptic. That was a test, said Threxall. What were they testing? Ven asked. Themselves, she replied. Then a room full of men staring at blinking lights, maps, timers, red buttons. Humanity had built machines designed to end all life and assigned teenagers to guard them. The footage labeled it Cold War. They created mutual destruction as a defense, Millar said, voice tightening. No, Threxall corrected. They created it as a deterrent, then lived under it. For decades, the scenes jumped again. Riots, entire cities burning from within. And yet, some stood between flames to pass water bottles. Musicians played in ruined squares. Dancers spun on shattered concrete. They riot with music, Kalis said. They collapse, Threxall added, and then throw parties. More footage. Humans climbing vertical mountains without rope, leaping between skyscrapers in running shoes, wrestling crocodiles for YouTube subscribers, eating ghost peppers for fun, jumping from orbit in nothing but a pressure suit and faith. They dare extinction, Millar said. They challenge it, came Kalis's quiet correction. Then, footage from war zones, desert combat, screaming, gunfire, blood. One human is hit, hard, shoulder shredded. He drops, then gets up grinning. That all you got? His voice is distorted but unmistakable. He tackles an enemy, shielding his squad. And then, a grenade. The footage slows. He throws himself on it. The screen whites out. Silence. Then, a new video. Same man, now in a hospital, missing half his face, half his torso. Still laughing, holding up a thumb. Caption, send me back in, Doc. I ain't done. No ceremony, no victory parade, just that smile. The Velkarith team sat in silence, not out of fear, out of recognition. These weren't monsters, they were mirrors. History, refined under pressure, without fracture. Pain, recycled into purpose. Humanity did not conquer their planet. They survived it, over and over, by making death flinch first. Ven stood slowly. They don't posture. They don't bluff, Kalis agreed. They don't even resist, Millar said. They invite the storm. Threxall didn't speak. She simply replayed the last clip again. That soldier, that laugh, that grenade, that survival. The translator core flickered, unable to contextualize the response. Finally, Threxall spoke. We came looking for weakness. She stared at Earth's blue curve through the viewport. Instead, we found the blueprint for endurance. The recon vessel Quiet Harmony submitted its first encrypted archive request in 5 days. Velkarith High Records granted access without delay. Historian Millar, eyes red from sleeplessness, initiated the query with mechanical precision. Request, Terran designation history, class level plus incident notes. The system returned an unexpected result. Initial classification, Earth, Terra, Sol III. Status, unclaimed initial rank. Death World class. 12 notes, extreme biological unpredictability, emotional bipedal predators, resilience through self-imposed trauma. Millar blinked. Death World, 12? Kalis leaned forward. That's higher than Velkarith Prime. We classify our own birth world as an 8th Threxall. Tap the refresh key. The log updated. Revision 01. Post-Terran AI Revolt. Revised status. Death World Class 15. Addendum. Species survived cognitive singularity, assimilated rebellion, domesticated logic anomalies. The team stared in silence. Millar read the footnote aloud. First recorded species to survive a planetary-scale artificial intelligence uprising by incorporating its personality into civilian infrastructure. Kalis exhaled. They didn't just survive it, they hired it. An additional thread unraveled as Threxall dove deeper. Predator extinction charts, biological collapse maps, trophic chain breakdowns. A blinking note in red. Earth's apex predators are extinct. Kalis frowned. Disease? No, Threxall replied. She rotated the display. Footage appeared. Humans in camouflage, holding projectiles, firing from elevated platforms. They hunted them. For food? Ven asked. For sport, Threxall said, voice flat. Lions, tigers, crocodiles, bears, some of them endangered. Didn't matter. Millar added grimly, the only predator left on Earth is human. Still, the Velkarith needed more than footnotes. So Ven initiated cultural immersion via soft media exposure, a safe starting point. Non-political, non-military entertainment. The program was titled Jackass. Within 4 minutes, the ship's translator module began glitching. By minute 6, the system failed entirely. By minute 10, Ven had collapsed to the floor, eyes wide, mouth open. He whispered, "They electrocute their genitals for amusement." Millar froze playback. She tapped into Ven's neural diagnostic report. Diagnosis: cognitive instability. Cause? Kalis asked. Exposure to voluntary chaos. The footage remained paused on a human launching himself from a shopping cart into a cactus patch. With applause. They switched files. New entry. Running of the bulls. Hundreds of humans sprinting through streets while being chased by horned beasts. Kalis flinched as one was gored. The crowd cheered. Another entry. Cheese rolling festival. Humans chasing a wheel of cheese down a deadly hill. Broken bones. Collapsed lungs. Celebrations. Millar shook her head. These aren't isolated incidents. These are traditions. It's not ignorance, Threxall said. It's ritualized defiance of mortality. The recon team called an emergency session. Kalis summarized, "We sought biological and technological threats. We found cultural ones." Millar nodded. They weaponized normalcy. They packaged death-adjacent behavior as humor. They don't fear extinction. They flirt with it. And they survive, added Threxall. Every single time. She rotated the display one final time. It was a still frame of a human with fireworks strapped to his back, holding 2 beers, yelling, "Let's make this historical." The image was marked as part of a 4th of July ritual. Kalis whispered, not entirely in jest, "What happens when these people discover faster than light travel?" Millar didn't answer, because the real question was worse. What happens if they already have, and just haven't used it yet? They updated Earth's galactic profile for the last time. Terran culture rating, unstable extreme current threat level, Death World class, 15 interaction, recommendation, do not engage, additional warning, avoid provoking species, pattern suggests escalation leads to unpredictability, spike in self-inflicted collapse. And below that, the final note, they do not fear death. They treat it like an uninvited guest at a party, and sometimes give it a nickname. The Velkarith Dominion had war doctrines for every known civilization. The Krell, plasma saturation, the Yandri swarm, EMP nerve nullifiers, the Stonefold choir, counter harmonics and surgical entropy. But for Earth, Sol 3, there was no protocol, no response tree, no escalation chart, just a blinking note embedded in the Dominion's most secure war archive. Shadow Protocol initiated status, observe only. Direct interaction prohibited. It wasn't a rule, it was a survival instinct. Within the observation chamber of the Quiet Harmony, the recon team finally faced the truth. Earth had never fired first, never declared war, never broadcast threats, never retaliated in measurable ways, yet no one succeeded in harming it. Ever. Kalis pulled up what few records existed from prior contact attempts. There was no debris, no battle footage, only outcome logs. Zavari Warp Prince Thalos returned without language. He stares at reflective surfaces, tries to speak to himself. Current location, Psionic Memory Ward, Nova Echo Facility. Jernak Admiral Grivak's final log before disappearance. Their planet glows like any other. Their bodies bleed like ours. But they don't beg. They watch. Serene Scout Queen. We touched a mind that wasn't theirs, but remembered them anyway. Millar stood by the viewport again. Earth spun below, quiet and bright as always. It doesn't defend itself in the ways we understand, she said. Threxall nodded. It doesn't need to. So how do they survive? Ven asked. Kalis answered. They let us see. The room went quiet. That was the heart of it. Earth didn't hide, it didn't fight. It let intruders see it, see them, the chaos, the laughter after loss, the willingness to dive headfirst into danger, not because it was brave, but because it was theirs to face. Most species presented unity to the stars. Earth presented contradiction. Most showed strength. Earth showed scars. And that made it worse. Threxel displayed one final transmission recovered from an unmarked capsule drifting outside Velkarith space, possibly centuries old. The signal was corrupted, half-scrambled, voice only, a male tone, alien, wheezing through distorted filters. We tried to make them fear us. They smiled. We told them to kneel. They laughed. We showed them our monsters. They pointed at themselves. We left. But something came back with us. Unintelligible scream, feedback noise. They bleed like us, but they don't beg. They watch. The log ended. The silence afterward felt heavier than any scream. Millar added a note to the Dominion's classified intelligence archive. Memo. Subject, Earth, Shadow Protocol Analysis. Author, Millar Sen. Cultural Division. Summary, Earth practices a form of passive deterrence unmatched in known space. It issues no warnings, fields no galactic embassies, and responds to invasion attempts with nothing. And yet, every failed encounter leaves permanent trauma. Conclusion, their defense mechanism is not military, it is existential. You don't invade Earth, you meet it. And when you do, you meet yourself. We're not supposed to be afraid of primitives, Kalis said softly. They're not primitives, Millar replied. What are they then? Unpredictable mirrors. Ven looked toward Earth's blue cloud line. Do we report this? Millar considered that for a long time. We already have. And what do we recommend? She didn't smile. She didn't blink. She only said that we don't look any deeper. But none of them turned away from the window, because Earth was still there, waiting, not as a threat, just a fact, unmoving, unbothered, unforgotten. The crew of the Quiet Harmony had stopped addressing each other by name. They still moved through the ship, still spoke, still ran diagnostics, but something essential had gone quiet inside them, like the moment before a scream. Ven was the first to stop sleeping. He said the dreams were growing crowded. Not nightmares, he whispered. Just presence, voices I don't know, saying things I never told them. Millar logged the symptoms clinically until she stopped sleeping too. She tried stimulants. She tried memory scrubbing. Nothing helped. The dreams didn't just linger. They anticipated. Threxal sat in the comms bay, staring at the receiver panel. No signal had been sent from Earth. That was verified, confirmed. And yet, there was music playing. Software grainy, human, old. Take me home, country roads. Kalis entered, froze. That's not possible. Threxel didn't look away. It started this morning. It won't stop. Every time I shut it off, it returns. New song, same voice. Earth? Threxel nodded. Always Earth. The translator module had no data on who sent the audio, but the voice after the song was always the same. Closer. By day, they ran scans. By night, if it could still be called that, they hid from their own thoughts. The commander attempted full shutdown, power isolation, signal nullifiers, memory firewalling. Didn't matter, because the comms bay lit up again, this time with laughter, not cruel, not mocking, familiar. And then, the voice. New words. 3 to be exact. It's your move. Kalis tried to recalibrate the ship's orbit, escape gravitational pull, reposition behind Luna. The controls didn't respond. Not jammed, just ignored. Every command input returned one message. Observed. They ran bioscans, no foreign contaminants. They ran internal AI diagnostics, no corruption detected. They even considered mutiny, against what none of them could explain. They simply needed out. But no one had moved the ship, because no one remembered where they were going in the first place. Millar opened her personal console. She tried to write her final report, but instead she typed, "They aren't hunting us. They're watching who we become under pressure." Ven vanished. No breach, no noise, just an empty sleeping unit. His final log entry left open on screen. I remembered a joke. I don't know why. I've never heard it before. It ends with a human looking into a mirror and saying, "So this is fear." And the mirror laughs. Kalis ordered full retreat. Back to Dominion space. No analysis. No parting scans. No debrief. She didn't issue a command. She begged. But it was too late. They were no longer an observation vessel. They were a case study. The ship didn't move. Didn't need to. Because now Earth was inside. Not in coordinates, in thought. Every crew member had become a node. Every unsent word, a whisper. Every silence, a resonance. The final log was not recorded by any of them. It appeared automatically. On every console, every data pad. One sentence. You wanted to understand us. Now you do. And in Dominion Command, deep beneath the archivum strata, a red alert triggered quietly, one that hadn't activated in centuries. Cognitive hazard flag, sole origin condition, contagious concept, identified recommendation, burn the channel, seal the mind, do not look back. In a quiet fold of uncharted space, shielded from drift and signal, floats Memorial Station 9. No species claims it, no beacon marks it. But across the galaxy, it is known. Not by maps, by whispers. The station is small, ancient Terran design, rusted edges, solar sails half folded like sleeping wings. It rotates on no known axis, and yet it holds perfect orbit around a dead sun. Pilots don't find it. They're brought. Through navigational glitches, gravitational flukes, dreams. Those who arrive never arrive twice. That is the rule. Inside is silence. No guards, no defenses. Just corridors lined with low, humming lights and walls etched with faded words. No translation needed. The language isn't linguistic, it's felt. The main hall is circular. Diamond sois. In its center stands an altar of sorts, a raised obsidian ring, embedded with hundreds of helmets, each one unique, each belonging to a different species. None remain in use. The helmets are not broken or bloodstained. They're whole, preserved, as if waiting. Above the altar, carved into the metal ceiling, is a simple plaque, written in Old Terran script, the kind used before the Concord, before the Silence Wars, before even unified Earth. It reads, "We remember who attacked, so does Earth." Visitors don't linger. No one speaks within the station, not out of reverence, out of instinct. The air carries pressure, not of gravity, of witness. The sense that something watches, not with eyes, but with history. There are no cameras, no AI nodes, no lights above 40 lumens, but always, always a single flower lies at the base of the ring. A Terran lily, fresh, unwilting, changed weekly. No one sees who replaces it. When asked, every visitor answers the same way. I thought it was already there. Some believe the flower is placed by Earth itself. Others say it's a pilgrimage, done in rotation, by those who survived failed invasions and learned the cost of arrogance. A few suggest it's not placed at all, that the flower grows from the ring. Nourished by memory, among certain species, Memorial Station 9 is forbidden knowledge. The Krell call it the orbit of forgiveness. The Sirens sing of it as the mouth that closed. The Dravis High Oracles refuse to acknowledge it exists. Yet one is said to visit once each cycle, alone, and weep. No data exists to confirm this, but tears have been found on the floor. The Velkarith once considered destroying the station to prevent cognitive contamination from spreading. They sent a drone strike. Nothing returned. Instead, Dominion Command received a small package. One black helmet, Velkarith standard issue. Inside it, a data crystal, containing a single line of text. You were never on the list, but now you are. They never spoke of it again. Most species simply avoid the station, but all know it, in rituals, in myths, in warnings passed down in parental tones. Never poke the quiet planet. If the sky smiles, bow and walk backward. If you hear laughter with no mouth, pray. They don't say Earth anymore. They just call it them, or worse, the witness. The galaxy continues. New wars rise and fall. Factions form. break, rebuild. But Memorial Station 9 remains untouched, and always watching, because it is not a threat, it is a reminder. And every reminder carries weight, even in silence, especially in silence. The recall order was issued in silence. No fanfare, no explanation, just coordinates, blinking red in every Velkarith warship's HUD, pointing away from Seoul. The Empress had spoken, "Do not provoke Earth. Let them forget us." Across battle groups, the command hit harder than any weapon, because none of the crews had ever seen the Empress afraid, until now. The quiet harmony never returned, nor did the backup vessel Veil of Reason, nor the third dispatched without clearance by a defiant admiral, looking for truth. None reported back, but transmissions from their personal logs did, leaked through strange wormholes, half-scrambled, time-stamped before they vanished. One repeated phrase echoed in all three. We thought they were still there. In the skies above Velkarith Prime, a message appeared, projected not on frequencies, not through particles, but across light itself, a string of text, stretched in shadow along cloud lines and refracted through orbiting satellites. We never left. We were waiting for you to ask. The Velkarith Parliament panicked. Their memory archives scrambled. Historians locked themselves in vaults and deleted the name Earth from official doctrine, not because of shame, because of self-preservation. What unnerved them most? The message hadn't come from Earth. Their best minds triangulated its origin. It came from nowhere, or maybe everywhere, from deep space, from the dark matter web that surrounded the galactic core. Some called it latent data echo. Some called it psionic bleed. But the oldest among them whispered, it came from what Earth became. The Empress dissolved the outer expansion core. Every expeditionary division was grounded, vessels burned, gateways locked. She offered no justification beyond one phrase, spoken to the High War Council. They never raised arms. They only raised memory. We are not prepared to meet what remembers. The council nodded. No vote was taken. None was needed. The war had never begun. But the funeral was already underway. And then came the star. It appeared quietly, just above the old Velkarith Observatory outpost on Zolkar Ridge. Uncatalogued, young, too deliberate. It pulsed at regular intervals, like a heartbeat. Amateurs dismissed it. Scientists studied it. One linguist, retired, half-deaf, half-mad, recognized the pattern. He didn't publish a paper. He simply walked into Parliament and handed a scrap of paper to a defense minister. The translation read, "We are watching now." The Empress read it once, then again, then a third time. She ordered the message inscribed into the Imperial Hall, right above the throne. "We are watching now." Visitors asked why. No answer was given. But the air in the chamber changed after that. Every speech grew shorter. Every declaration of power, more cautious. Even the children, those too young to fear Earth, played quieter afterward, as if something in their bones understood. Earth had never expanded, never sent fleets, never demanded tribute. It never even responded to the threats it received, because Earth never prepared for war. It prepared for the eulogy. The galaxy finally understood. Earth did not strike first. It didn't need to. It simply waited for arrogance to write its own obituary. And when it did, Earth was ready to read it aloud. Centuries passed. Civilizations rose and fell. The star continued to pulse. Sometimes new messages blinked across it. Fragmented bursts of code, fragments of Terran poetry, old Earth songs in photon bursts. No one answered. No one dared. But every empire that found the star stopped expanding. It became a galactic milestone, a tombstone written in fire. Pilgrims visited it, bards sang of it, and in every tongue one phrase endured, "Do not awaken Earth," not because it will fight, but because it will mourn. On a quiet moon generations later, a child asked his teacher, "If Earth was so dangerous, why didn't it attack us?" The teacher, old and slow now, smiled gently. "Because it didn't need to." "But why?" The teacher looked up. The star blinked above them. "Because Earth is not a weapon. It's a wake. and we were the noise that disturbed its silence. At the edge of known space, where the dark spirals of the galaxy began to curl inward, someone once found a signal. It was faint, weakened by distance, but still clear. A voice, human, calm, tired. We don't want your planets. We don't want your gold. We only want to be left alone. But if you cannot leave us in peace, the message paused. A breath, not a threat, a sorrow. Then we will bury your name gently, with flowers and fire, and write your story with mercy. Because when the quiet ends, the morning begins. And we are always prepared for the funeral. No one knew when Earth had sent it, or if Earth had sent it at all. Maybe it was old. Maybe it hadn't been sent, only remembered. It didn't matter, because it was true. And the galaxy, now older and wiser, did what Earth always wanted. They left it alone, and in doing so, they lived.